Good evening, folks.
Okay.
Thursday again, January 7th. You are tuned into the Virtual American Town Hall. I am your host, Mohammed Faheem, with my co host, Pastor Lawrence Blackful Jr., and the rest of the team joining us on this momentous day today. We have a lot of things to discuss. We might extend the timing of the town hall tonight. And if you want to join, feel free to join. You can go to our website, which is www.thevath.com. Click on the link to join the Zoom and let us discuss what is happening in our country today. What happened yesterday was not the country that I signed up to come to almost 35, 36 years back. With that, I'm going to throw the floor open, and I will have Pastor Blackful take the lead and start the conversation today. Pastor Blackful.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining the Virtual American Town Hall tonight. Um, we begin this conversation, we are at a place in our history and in our country that we've never been before. Um, on last night, I addressed our congregation and our online audience and addressed a number of the challenges that we are facing. And I had to begin by first and foremost owning the fact that I was angry. I was embarrassed. I was disappointed with the events that took place on yesterday. And as a result, I had to spend some time praying to make sure that as I communicate and as I move forward, that I don't allow my anger and frustration and disappointment and embarrassment to overshadow sound judgment. And so in that, as we communicate tonight, I want us to all just recognize that we all have emotions and feelings about what has happened and what is happening in our country. And therefore, we all have a right to feel how we feel. But at the end of the day, we have to address the issues that we're facing. And on yesterday, there was a terrorist attack on our capital in Washington, D.C. There is no way to sugarcoat it. It was a riot, and every person that attacked our democracy should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. However, as Americans as a whole, we have created this thing that we saw on yesterday, and it was created by the individual who occupies the White House, Donald Trump, along with those who have supported this behavior and the rhetoric that has led to what we are experiencing and what we saw on yesterday. And we have to do better. And what I want to focus on tonight, and I'll come back to it, but I want us to take a look at the.
Pastor Blackful, I'm getting a message over here that your bandwidth is low. So I think you may be having some bandwidth issues. And, if you can go ahead and, fix that if you could and rejoin, would love to hear the rest of your thoughts. And I totally agree with you, especially the anger and the disappointment part. It took me quite some time to get over it yesterday. I mean, I was not just angry, I was disappointed. I was astonished as to, is this America that I'm looking at? Folks, this should have been nipped in the bud a long time back. But here's the thing. This did not happen overnight. It was not just something that happened yesterday. There was a lot of things leading up to what happened yesterday. I was really surprised to read more and more about it today. There was a Florida firefighter who was part of the mob. there was the son of a Brooklyn Supreme Court judge who was part of the mob. And on top of everything, I'm waiting for Pastor Blackful to come back before we carry the discussion forward. The Chicago Fraternal Order of Police president,
Are you
John
able to?
Catanzara, you know, had an interview on WBEZ TV and radio yesterday, which blew my mind. He is defending the people who stormed the Capitol. They're saying, oh, they had the right to protest. They did not break anything, unlike what happened during the BLM protests. They did not cause any kind of destruction or damage to property. What kind of world are you living in, John? That is nonsense. And you are supposed to be the president of the Fraternal Order of Police. Get your act together, man. You know, you are either for America or you're against America. We're all Americans. We all saw the destruction that was caused. There was one guy who was actually looting and taking away the pedestal or the for of the speaker. So you're telling me that there was no looting? This is nonsense, and we have got to point out people who are perpetuating this myth that, oh yeah, no, there was nothing wrong. These were peaceful protesters. Then these were Antifa or somebody who just wanted to come and create some disturbance. There were 50,000, 30,000 people over there who were protesting peacefully, except for a few people who decided to go and break in. Come on, get real. John, your comments, please.
Mm.
You're muted, John, so you might want to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that.
John is frozen.
Well,
Yeah, here I am now.
The tin bug is contagious.
Hey, John, don't make funny faces, man. Come on.
The sad thing, the very sad thing, and while you were speaking, Mohammed, I was doing a fast Google to see what the FOP president of the Chicago Police Department had said. But what the real sad thing is that, one, I think there was a lot of underestimation of the resolve of the people that were involved in yesterday's melee, terrorist act, attempted coup, whatever word you want to put on it or description that you want to say about it. I think the law enforcement communities underestimated the fact that these people would actually respect, and this is a very sad statement, actually would respect the hallowed halls of our government that is basically the bastion, that building, those buildings are the bastion of what people see and what people look at to describe what freedom is. And we have video of people smashing in windows and crawling into the building. And then there was the videos that were being recorded inside by the actual people that were going in, running through the halls, and you can see the police officers having to, retreat and find a place to finally take a stand, where they wouldn't let the people pass any further. And it was just a real. I was very saddened. I was very worried about the police officers. It's a shame that we had 4 deaths out of, or 5. It's 4 or 5. I'm not sure. 4. If it's 4.
Four deaths so far, John. But here's what John Catanzara's statement was on to WBEZ. He says, and I'm quoting: "There was no arson. There was no burning of anything. There was no looting. There was very little destruction of property. And then he goes on to say it was a bunch of pissed off people that feel an election was stolen somehow, some way. And then he goes, I don't have any doubt that something shady happened in this election. You are not going to convince me that many people voted for Joe Biden. Never for the rest of my life will you ever convince me of that. But again, it still comes down to proof. Now, this is the president of the FOP saying this.
Right.
And then he
Yeah.
goes on to
Right.
say, evidence matters. Until that appears, shame on them for what they did, but it was out of frustration. There's no fights. There is no obviously violence in this crowd. They pushed past security. Yeah, you call busting windows pushing past security and made their way to the Senate chamber. Did they destroy anything when they were there? And he goes on to say, no. Now, video and photographs of the incident show plainly that the rioters smashed windows of the Capitol, ransacked the offices inside. An armed standoff took place at the door of the House chamber as the rioters derailed the election certification in an attempt to keep Trump in power. Police near the building have confiscated guns, pipe bombs, Molotov cocktails.
Mhm.
And Catanzara says that Wednesday's mayhem was very different, and I'm quoting him here, very different than what happened all across this country all summer long in Democratic run cities, and nobody had a problem with that. So now you tell me, and then he goes on to say if the worst crime there here is trespassing, so be it. But to call these people treasonous is beyond ridiculous and ignorant.
Yeah, the real shame of it is that that gentleman has been elected by the police officers of the Chicago Police Department.
Yep.
Mhm.
And the question then becomes, by him making those statements, is what does the police department in a whole, or all the police members of the Fraternal Order of Police for Chicago, what do they think of their leader right now? Because you know that this can paint with a very wide brush the idea that the Fraternal Order of Police, a fraternal, notice the word,
Uh-huh.
order, is painting and making these kind of statements, I just feel is so inappropriate. I'm proud to say that I was, for a 2-year period, I was the president of Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 36 out in Hanover Park. And never once would it occur to any of us that we would make those kind of statements. I even, and not to change the subject, but I even confronted the village board when they were talking about changing the drinking hours for bars from closing at 2 to 4 and allowing them to stay open till 4. And I voiced very strongly that, that's going to cause an awful lot of problems, because we're going to have people that are going to leave one bar and they're going to go to this other bar located in Hanover Park, and they're going to continue to drink. And we're going to have people on the road that are intoxicated at 4 o'clock in the morning when rush hour traffic is just getting underway. But I was thunderstruck by what I saw on the news last night. I called you up, Mohammed, and I said, "Are you seeing this?"
Yep.
I was just glued to my computer here, watching CNN and WGN simultaneously, and I don't know what the president of the FOP is talking about. You've got people that are in there looting. You've got people that are busting out the windows to gain entrance. You're putting people in jeopardy of harm. As I said, 4 people, as you back me up, 4 people have died. One officer felt his life to be in jeopardy, and he ended up firing his weapon and killing a woman, and that woman is a veteran.
Yeah. Just think about it.
I'm just very sad, because We are the ones where the world that of people that yearn for freedom, just like it says on our Statue of Liberty, they look to us for the freedoms that we have. And now they look at us and they say, who knows what they're saying, but I'm sure it is not pretty.
John, I've got Janish Faheem joining us from Yonkers in New York, and Vasavi Chaka is also joining us. Vasavi,
Hi.
welcome back.
I
Good to see
can't
you
stay
back.
long, but I just want to wish you all a very happy and healthy 2021.
Well, I hope it's going to be better than what we had in 2020. It's not starting
Just
off that
wait
good,
until
Vasavi.
21st of
You
January.
know,
Things will get better.
well, I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope so. And John, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys noticed it or not. I mean, we had people, and I want to get Vasavi your reaction on that. We had people of Indian origin there displaying the Indian flag and storming the Capitol. Now, you know, there's a huge difference between Hinduism and Hindutva, and you folks don't understand what I'm talking about. The general American public is not aware of the difference, but it is the difference between an ordinary German practicing his faith and Nazism. That's what is happening, especially in the Indian diaspora now. I mean, these people were there and they are proudly displaying the Indian flag. I did not see the flag of any other foreign country over there. Wasabi, what do you say?
I did not see the flag, but
I can send you some video clips on that. NDTV
sure.
had the
Um,
video
but
on it.
I agree. What happened yesterday should not be happening. This is a great democracy, and if things happening like the way it happened, it's unbelievable, and I condemn them very strongly. And we have to make sure these kind of things won't happen again.
Well, what is the solution, folks? Remember that we want to talk about solutions over here, and I was just both John and I and Pastor Blackful, we have been talking about the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police president and his statements, which are so ridiculous as to what is happening in the country. And you know, this is not the America that I signed on for, folks.
I agree.
Yeah.
Janish, you got some comments to make? Go ahead, please.
Go ahead, Ken.
I'm sorry. Oh, no, go ahead, Janish. I didn't hear his name. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to introduce myself. So thanks for having me. This is my first virtual town hall that I attended. I think I feel bad saying Mohammed. He's actually my uncle, so Uncle Mohammed. So
Well,
me today.
welcome, and we're sorry.
That's nicely put. Nicely put. So
Well, don't really mind whatever John says. He has not had his COVID-19 shot yet because he is an attorney and they are at the bottom of the table along with all the catfish.
No, that's great. So I thank you for having me today. I think this is a great sort of gathering that you guys have on a regular basis. I wanted to join just to see what everyone's viewpoint was. Mohammed was bringing up a good point. There was so many different people at the rally yesterday. It was a really black time in American history, I think. And it was, I echo his words. This isn't the America that I aspired to join. I'm British born. I was born in London. I think I'm losing the accent, but I was born in London. I moved over here about 13 years ago. I became a citizen right after the last election. I wanted to become a citizen because of what happened in the last election. I felt that I was already doing a lot of advocacy work and involved with civil liberties and things like that. And I thought I'd make a difference if I was an actual citizen. So I'm a dual citizen right now. And this is a really, really dark time. I worry about my children growing up in a country that is so polarized. And I think it will take, it's not going to take one term presidency, 2 terms president. We're looking at possibly a generation to fix this. We've had such a tough year, not just because of COVID, but because of the BLM movement, because of many, many different things. We are so divided as a nation, more divided than I think we have ever been, maybe since the time of the Civil War. To come back from this is going to take leadership at all levels, grassroots levels, all the way through to the top, to the presidency. And I think it's a rebuilding time. It's not easy to come back from this. We have a
Manish,
tendency.
I want to take a couple of seconds over here and share these messages on my screen. If you guys can see my screen now, and you can see clearly the Indian flag over here.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are like a number of pictures, and then guys were actually posting messages. And if you look at, I can't read his name, something Venugopal.
Yeah,
And
I
these are the guys
actually
responding.
know Arun. He's a good journalist. It's not him who was there. He's just reporting this.
Right, he's reporting, and this is the guy that is posting messages. Hemant something,
right.
I'm here. Thousands and thousands of people are here, and these are messages that were being posted. So it is not something that is, not being reported. And there are, like I said, actually videos of people from other countries.
Back the Capitol buildings and take them over. And I don't think that this tiny little microcosm group is a true reflection on the American people or this great American country.
John, and I couldn't agree more with you. And the same goes for this small group of people who are trying to represent, an Indian viewpoint. I don't think that they represent all of the Indians that live in their country, in this country, right, Vasavi?
Yes, that is true. And again, as you mentioned, the Hindu and Hindutva, they may have different definitions, but Hindus are like, they, that, I mean, they
Absolutely.
are, we
Absolutely.
always feel like we are brothers and sisters, and it is in even our Indian pledge, like, we are all,
I've
yeah.
never felt any difference between
Mm-hmm.
any of my friends. And growing up in India, my best friends were all Hindus because, especially in my bachelor's and master's classes, for example, when I was in my journalism class, I was the only Muslim out there, off of everybody in that classroom over there. Did we feel anything? Hell no. I mean, we were all friends. We grew up like that. We celebrated each other's festivals and everything. But, Pastor Blackful, some people are bringing those fascist agendas over here and exporting it from India to this country. I mean, there's a lot of that happening that most, a typical average American is not aware of it. But let's come back to the conversation that we were having. Ken is raising his fingers.
Oh, absolutely. Well, go ahead.
Ken raised his finger first, Pastor Blackful.
Go ahead.
We have
No
to,
problem. Go ahead.
because Ken's audio cuts in and out, you know that.
Hey, don't go there.
Okay.
I would like to say that to reverse paraphrase Charles Dickens, it's the worst attempt.
See, I told you. His audio goes in and out.
Yeah, we've lost him completely now. Up there he is.
Oh, there he is.
Right. I said it's the worst of times and it's the best of times. John and Janesh have explained like the worst of what just happened. One thing that really upset me is the response of the Capitol Police and the other people. If this were a Black Lives Matter event, there would not have been anybody even close to getting into that place. It would have been all over them. Everyone would have been arrested and there would have been a massive force. I think just because they're white, they're gonna help them through the velvet ropes and walk down the street and then try to go after him later. That was just wrong. That's, I'm sorry, but that's racist. It just was wrong, okay? And,
I agree, and I have to say that, and that just leads me back to what that building represents and and what those police officers have as an awesome responsibility of trying to protect all of the elected officials that are in there. But at the same time, I still think that they were absolutely overwhelmed. They were undermanned, and I think that they never even on their wildest dreams, even though there's been a movie about it, you know, that I can't remember the exact term for the first one, but you know, the White House has fallen, and even even with
Olympus
a movie,
has
you
fallen.
couldn't think you couldn't
John,
think.
I have to disagree a little bit because they knew it was happening. They said specifically it was happening for the past couple of weeks. They were planning on doing this. It wasn't like this was a big surprise. Oh my God, look what happened.
But Ken, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I mean, you know, generally the police force and people in general have been so indoctrinated into believing that only people of color are violent. These are going to be these nice white people, you know, who support our great white president, who are not going to be violent in any way, shape, or form. So yeah,
I
we can take
understand.
it
That's
easy.
exactly my point.
Yeah, these are going
And
to be
so,
peaceful protesters.
right.
One of the CNN commentators was saying yesterday, and I tend to agree, that if it was, you know, 30,000 black people or 30,000 Muslims over there, what would have been the reaction or the preparation of the police in anticipation of such an event? They would have been all
Right.
over the place.
There would have been a totally different response, and there would have been a totally different reaction. And we don't have to speculate about that. All we have to do is go back and take a look at what was done during the summer months when the Black Lives Matter protesters were in DC. They showed video clips this evening for the first time. I was waiting on it yesterday, but they showed the force that the law enforcement showed up in. And I'm talking, you had law enforcement on different levels of government, different uniforms. You even had that outfit that was there that and had been out there for a long time, for weeks, that didn't have any kind of name badges and insignia, so no one really knew what entity they even represented. You didn't have that kind of force out there. In addition to that, it's the video footage shows that the officers came out in such force that they were swinging, they were hitting the people with their batons. They were shooting with the rubber bullets. They were spraying pepper spray, tear gas, you name it. They came with force. They were prepared because they knew that Black people were coming. And it wasn't just Black people, but it was Black, white, and brown folk who were there. But they were coming on to stand for issues impacting the Black community. And because of that, the threat was heightened, and it is indicative of the double standard. It is indicative of how Black folk are viewed in this country. We are viewed to be animals. We're viewed to be violent, and we're viewed as we are this great threat, when in reality, we saw animals yesterday. We saw animals climbing the walls, scaling the building, I mean, that type of behavior was not typical of a civil society. Yet, there was not one person who was killed. We know the one lady was killed, but if that were Black folks scaling off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Halls,
Yeah, Pastor Blackful, you are
they would
having
have
connection
been
issues
murdered.
again with your bandwidth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
let me now, I told you the worst of times. Now let me tell you why I think in the way it's the best of times. Certain things happened yesterday which made my mind explode. Mitch McConnell came up and actually stood up for being on the right side of things. Lindsey Graham said, hey, yeah, this has got to be done right. Mike Pence turned around and said, no, Trump, I'm not going to try to do something I'm not constitutionally able to do. And then after all this happened, a lot of the Republicans who were out there ready to protest or whatever, backed off of that. And it seems like everyone's accepting that we need to do something. And what happened today? They're talking invoking the 25th Amendment. And if that doesn't work, doing impeachment, which I think is really important because who knows what this guy is going to do in the next 14 days. It scares the hell out of me. So I think in one way we're going in a better direction.
Well,
and,
Ken, I mean, I give you that, but I mean, look at these people, okay? Everything from, you know, Mitch, I don't want to use the B word over here, but, you know, what were you waiting for so long? I mean, these are all bootlickers that have been, you know, going after Donald Trump and saying, you know, Heil Trump every little time that they got a chance to do that. And now they see the political, you know, winds shifting. And these people are coming out and
oh yeah,
saying, oh,
they're
no, we
totally
have always said
politicians.
the emperor had no clothes. You know, I
Totally
agree with you. You know,
politicians,
things
no
are moving
question.
in the right direction. You know, Elaine Chao quit her position today, Mitch's wife. You know,
Yep.
again, I
There
mean,
were several other resignations today. And one of the positives that came out of, and what I have to commend both our congressional and Senate representatives for, is the fact that after all of this, they went back into
Yes.
the chambers and completed the assignment, their constitutional duty. They did it, and they did it the way that it was supposed to be done. Even though you had objections still from Holly and Ted Cruz and others, and we need to remember those names who did that. But as a whole, they came back and they fulfilled their constitutional duty and completed the certification of the Electoral College votes. And that needs to be commended, both Democrats and Republicans.
totally agree with you on that. Totally agree with you on that.
Yes.
Pete, you have been silent all this while, Pete. What are you doing? Taking notes?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we are
Uh,
recording this, so I'm going to be playing back anyhow, so you don't really have
okay.
to have that intense look
Yeah.
of note-taking on your
Uh,
face.
a lot of thoughts are going on in my mind. And rightly you mentioned solution. I'm only thinking on solution. So what yesterday has happened is horrific, and it should not have happened in America. That is 100%, I agree with everybody. But solution is nobody have provided. And of course, now I could think that solution as Congress is initiating is impeachment. And absolutely, that is not a good solution. If at all, if anybody, intelligent people are sitting there, if they initiate that one within 14 days, they are putting a seed for dividing the country. And dividing the country is the smallest thing. It could even go beyond that. And it could expand to the other countries like in Europe. Already European Union, we are seeing, came together, England is separated. The world should be uniting, not dividing. More we divide, politics, geographically putting a line on the country is not a ultimate goal of the human being. So we are split into 190 countries, and maybe 300 countries would happen. That will not solve the humanity problem. Coming together will solve. Virus cannot distinguish between this country and that country. Hunger cannot distinguish between this country and that country. So solutions are in those areas. Hunger,
I would
job.
like to
So
take
I'm in a
a
different
second,
direction,
Pete.
actually.
I'd like to take a second over here to also acknowledge Mr. Javed Rathor, who is joining us. Thank you so much for joining. Love to have you over here. You need to unmute your microphone so that we can hear you on. You got like two faces over here that I can see, two pictures of you in two different screens over here.
Hi
Javed Rathor
everybody,
is
and
a
I would like to listen to you guys.
well-known person in the community, and he is an activist who is very strongly presenting, his views on a number of topics, especially on what is happening, in the Kashmir region of India. And Javed, welcome to the Virtual American Town Hall. Our focus in this is more as to what is happening in this country of ours that has so warmly embraced us. Okay, what are the challenges that we are facing? And, what are some of the issues? We started off by discussing today, obviously, what is happening in the Capitol. We also, I brought out the fact that there were some people with the Indian flag over there, and they don't represent either me or Wasavi or Habib or anyone of us or Janish, from the or Pete from the Indian, diaspora. They don't represent us. These are fascists, pure and simple. And they were there proudly displaying the Indian flag and posting it on social media that they were there for this. I don't call it a protest. I'm going to call it what it is, straight up. It was a terrorist act.
Actually, I'm agree with you. That is totally belligerent discretion, and on the assault on the Capitol Hill. And actually, if we wanted to understand what is that, there is a state of delusion, and that's a mindset, and that is the same mindset uh, Hitler used to have, Mussolini used to have, or RSS in India, one extremist organization have, or anyone, whether they are from Muslims or Christians or anyone who keeps those extremist ideas, I think those ideas are fascism. And we don't want fascism, we want harmony. And harmony we can bring only by accepting each other's, by regarding the views of each other's, and by mutual respect. And that's what every religion teaches us, that's what democracy teaches us, that if we have a right to disagree, but that doesn't mean that we say that other person, because he has a different opinion, he don't have a right to exist. That's not fair. So that's what happening right now. Unfortunately, our president himself consistently for last 4 years, he was misleading people. And a lot of people were supporting him from Republican. The reason they were supporting, they were thinking that this president have a big numbers, people are in big numbers, are his audience, his blind followers, and they can go against them. And that's why they were, Republican Party was kind of became a hostage by the President Trump. And I think now Republican Party has a chance to get out of his cult and reorganize the party of Lincoln and party of Reagan. President Donald Trump not only shattered the image of democracy, but he shattered the image of and the whole democratic world. And now people are, antagonizing. People are laughing on us, like a China is saying that now they are saying that American hypocrisy is, open up. So this is unfortunate. This has happened only because of the delusion of current president. And unfortunately, some people didn't took courage to counter him, and they were just following him, and some crazy people was supporting him. And I think this is the time. I have a lot of Republican friend, very close friend, I respect them. And even, let me tell you, I'm a
David,
Democrat.
you see that person sitting up there on the top right over there? John Runyon, good friend of mine, great person. John is a Republican. So
Let me tell you one thing.
the virtual
Let me
American
tell you
town
one
hall
thing.
is open for everybody.
Yeah, let me tell you one thing. In the last election, there was the elections, and I voted for John Kasich. I'm a Democrat, but I voted him because in that lot, I think there was a better person. So that's what we should decide, who is better, and we should go for him, not because of any person or any, on theocratic ideas. Or this is unfortunate, and it shouldn't happen in America. And I would like to listen you guys.
Okay,
I
I have to
want to
leave.
appreciate, Vasavi, 1 second, if you could.
Yes, no. I want
Following
to
up on
address
Javid's
something.
point, I want to really
Fahim ji.
appreciate and give a shout out to the Naperville mayor over here, Steve Chirico, who is a Republican, but he had put up, a Biden sign in his yard, and he went on to say, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. And he had so many people, send him hate messages. It is unbelievable. So whether you're Republican or Democrat, whatever is in the best interest of the country is what we should be talking about as an American. Okay. I have voted
Uh,
for George Bush in the past when I was in Texas. I voted for George Bush. I voted for Ann Richards, who was on the Democratic ticket for the governor of Texas. So, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to go blindly follow the Democratic
Mhm.
Party and, go down, following them down into, down the hill. Vasavi, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I strongly disagree with Javid ji on RSS, because RSS, you cannot compare RSS with Nazi or Italian Mussolini's government, because that is just an organization. It's like Boy Scout, and they are people who are extremists in that organization, and you cannot blame the entire organization. I strongly disagree with that. And
Oh,
it's just like any other organization. They are like extremists, and I am a Hindu, but I'm not a fanatic. I was happened to born in that, but I respect all the religions the same. But you cannot just tag whole RSS with Nazi, and that is an insult for the whole nation. And I mean,
Uh,
they are
I
extremists, but
I have
that's
a
not.
regard for
No, no, no.
Javid.
You just said including RSS like Nazi and Mussolini. You cannot put those things together. And yesterday they had, I mean, I strongly disagree whatever they said about, this is such a sad thing happened yesterday, and it should not happen again. And I will voice my concern, like, we are Americans. Before we are Muslims or Hindus or Christians, we are Americans. We need to come together. And then, this great nation has given us so much opportunity. And whatever they have done with Indian flag yesterday, that doesn't represent India. And that doesn't
Absolutely.
represent
I
people
agree
like
with you.
us.
And that's what I was trying to point out right from the beginning, Vasavi.
Yeah,
As the
no the
person of
man.
Indian origin,
yeah.
they don't represent me. And yeah,
No.
you got
And
crazies
again,
in every part of the world. So, Javed,
Yeah.
no,
So
I don't,
I think
RSS
my
is not like Nazis, or they didn't conduct the concentration camps, or they didn't kill people. They just make leaders of young people, strong citizens of India with one type of ideology, but that doesn't make
no
them Nazis.
no ma'am. Let me tell you, what is that? In the beginning, people take a initiation on the name of nationalism or religion or any kind of thought which take them to the extremism. Whether that we have that kind of people in Islams and might be in other religions. And same, so far we heard the statements of Mohan Bhagwat, who is the head of the RSS. He said Hindustan is only for Hindus. No other religion can live in India, whether they are Christian or Muslim. They should
No, that is wrong.
become a
That
Hindu.
is wrong
Before we
statement he
And
get,
has
I
I
can
don't want
given.
us to get caught up.
and
I
ma'am, I
think that
can
it's
show
time
you
that
that
we
statement
bring our
given by
conversation back.
Mohan Bhagat. I can
okay.
send you email.
I think right now it's time that we bring our conversation back
Yeah,
to the matter at hand, the issues at hand, and the conversation
I
at hand.
I
And
agree
that
with you,
is the
Pastor
fact
Blackful.
that our democracy in the United States of America is under attack. And one of the key pillars of our democracy was assaulted on yesterday. And the way the law enforcement addressed it and prepared for it was, it shows that either there was a deliberate um, acquiescing to these groups on yesterday, or there is a certain level of incompetence or willful negligence. And so I don't know what that is, but what we do know is that the Capitol Police and every other law enforcement entity within that region had time to prepare and to have a show of force and prevent what happened on yesterday. And either someone deliberately and coordinated the effort to make sure that those things weren't in place. And if they did that, they should be held accountable. And I think that there should be an investigation as to what took place there. In addition to that, we need to find out, we need to restructure how we protect the White House, our Capitol building, and all of our federal structures and buildings there. Again, after it all is said and done, we are living in a time where we have an individual sitting in the White House who has fanned the flames of white supremacy and racism and misogyny in so many different ways, so many different things he has done. And the problem that I have today is when I hear some of my friends and associates say, well, I wanted Trump to win. When I hear folks say I wanted Trump to win, what that says to me as a Black person, as a citizen of the United States of America, is you wanted racism to win. You wanted division to win. You wanted what we saw on yesterday. You wanted that to win. And there were over 70 million people who wanted what they saw on yesterday. And that's the problem with these United States of America. And until we address that and realize that at the core, while a lot has changed, a whole lot has not changed, and we have a whole lot of work to do. And it's going to take every one of us, Black, white, and every other color, to come together to make that happen. And
well,
we
Pastor Blackful, I want to bring the conversation back
country
also.
over party.
Yeah, I also
We
want to
must
bring the
put country
conversation back
over
to
party.
what happened today in Oak Park. You know, that cafe that someone had thrown a brick through the cafe with a message, because two of the people that are running for trustee in Oak Park are, you know, African American. And the whole community of Oak Park has now come together to support that business. So, yeah, I mean, are there crazies out there? There are out there. But as a whole, this wonderful country that we call home, there are more sane people here. Unfortunately, they don't have a voice in the media. And that is what we wanted to do with the Virtual American Town Hall, is to give a voice to those who don't have a voice at all. And that's what I wanted to bring together, a group of people, sane people, for lack of a better word. I saw a lot of postings on social media today, especially in the Indian Pakistani groups, condemning this and condemning that, and you know, all these WhatsApp warriors, for lack of a better word. I invited them to come and talk about it, you know, in the town hall today. I don't see a single one of them, not one of them, Javed, has shown up to put a face to the messages that they have been posting in all of these so-called WhatsApp groups that are trying to promote, you know, Indian values, or, you know, fight for this and fight for that. And these people are not here now.
I think we are, as a human being, we all are lacking one thing, and that is that it's very important to improve interaction and understand each other's. Might I have a different perception about you or about any organization? That's not true. That's not based on the facts. That could be based on the propaganda. Like all people, those went to Washington, they were brainwashed by the consistent, pattern of President Trump tweets and all those messages.
Disinformation.
So similarly, so it's very important for us to improve our interaction, understanding, deliberation, discussion. That is the only thing which can bring us to close to each other and resolve the differences. Yeah.
Yes, I think there is a good point in that, what you said. And, once Obama said, our democracy is not a perfect. We never thought that how to make it perfect. See, the concept here, we are thinking like a game. So if somebody has got a 51%, another party has got a 49%. So winner take all mentality. So this is not a game. Democracy is a serious thing, life and matter. Everybody's life are there. What we are used to here in America as a game. You go to the Olympic, the first winner is always only 1 inch ahead of other person. Second one is 1 inch behind. So he loses, another one gains. So that is the game, that is the pleasure, and that is the fun. But that is not the same equation that applies to the democracy. That's why we are not perfected it last 200 years. See, if there's a 49% somebody, and somebody has around 51%, you do not have the mentality of winning nature. So you have to consider about the remaining 49%, what they feel, how they are hurt. So that component is missing in American democracy. See, for example, I was in Canada, and there was a mayor
that
called.
hasn't always been missing in America. That's missing in this America under this administration, because most administrations prior to now, when the president has won, has made overtures in different ways or brought on people from who may not have agreed with them and tried to win and increase their base. This president has never attempted to expand his base.
You are 100%. Yeah.
It was catered to the base.
You are 100% correct, sir. So not only this president, last 30 years, all the presidents have lost it. Only Roosevelt had that opportunity. He had an overwhelming majority. So anybody who becomes a president, he doesn't become a president for the party, entire country. Even the people who are on opposite side, who are lesser, maybe 40% or 30% presentation, their views and other things to be incorporated, and country should be ruled in that way. That is what we are missing, and that is where perfecting democracy comes. For example,
do you think the Biden administration is going to have that kind of an approach?
I think he will have
the challenges that Trump is leaving Biden with.
You see, Biden personally is a very nice person, and probably he will reach out to the other parties also. And even Lincoln, I heard in history, Lincoln went opposition party, and he has included an opposition party guy in his cabinet. So that kind of attitude is required in order to become a real president. So
let's hear John. John Runyon has been silent for a long time. John, what have you been doing? Monitoring the news as you usually do when we are talking?
I've been looking around, and the thing is that it's obviously this has come to the forefront of our political and our political consciousness, but more importantly, I still think that we have so much, one, to be thankful for, but two, we have so far to go to try and get everybody, and I don't know how to say it correctly, so just to get everybody on the same page. And I don't mean that in a derogatory manner. What I'm trying to convey is I think we need to make sure that nobody is left behind in our political process, and nobody feels disenfranchised, and nobody is allowed to foment this kind of rhetoric or this kind of hatred that's going on in our country right now. I mean, it just stuns me when I read about police officers that are sitting in their squad car doing absolutely nothing, and some lunatic comes up and shoots them both in the head and just keeps on going. And these acts that we see that are just played up by the news, these acts that we see are from fringe groups that are always there. I mean, when the building was blown up with the FBI headquarters in it, Timothy McVeigh, everybody was looking outside the country until all of a sudden it was, wait a minute, this is a homegrown terrorist act, and some police officers stumbled onto the guy and put two and two together really quickly. So these are fringe acts. They're not indicative of what this country is. And I think the press should call it that. Acts of fringe, disenfranchised, or however you want to define them, groups that think that violence is the way to move themselves forward. And we all know that terrorism never achieves the goal that the terrorists think it's going to achieve.
John, so let me ask you this, John. I mean, you mentioned that the media should call them as fringe groups. So who exactly are the media and who is actually controlling the media? Because the moment, like, you know, a Muslim guy has a Muslim name attached to it, I was waiting to see if they called the Nashville bomber and suddenly said, you know, he recently converted to Islam. I was waiting to hear that, and I didn't hear that. But the moment it is a Muslim person, boom, terrorist. Okay, there could have been a million reasons for somebody who has a Muslim background to, you know, go and blow himself up, not just because he's a Muslim, right?
Right.
So what is the media? Who is the media? Who are the media? Who's controlling the narrative in the media?
You know, that's a really funny question that you ask me that. And I think you know the reason why I think it's a little bit of a funny question that you asked me. And I really don't want to put that out there too much other than, yes, I am a president of a television station. And the real reality is, what area are we going to play to? And you know, I've never thought about that before until all of a sudden here I am today with a television station that's running 24/7. And what am I going to show on that television station? I think that the media got itself caught up in a frenzy over the past 4 years of negative Trump isms. I think President Trump shot himself in his foot every time he turned on his Twitter account and started tweeting out these messages. I really think that we still have to look at the media and get them to start saying this is terrorism. I mean, when they were rioting in Chicago, a friend of mine stayed in Ohio, and I was watching it on WGN News, and I called her up and I said, my God, turn on WGN News. They're rioting right outside of your apartment complex. And she said, John, I'm standing on my balcony, fortunately 52 stories up, watching it unfold right in front of me. So these were not protesters. These were not peaceable people trying to air their grievances to their government. These were people that were out there to do damage, to do destruction, to try and disrupt the governmental process. And unfortunately, I have to lay it right at President Trump's feet with the incendiary speeches that he was making over the last few days, especially with the comments yesterday. We're going to the Capitol. I'm leading you. I'm going to lead you to the Capitol. We're going to the Capitol. Yeah, and I think the press has to be emboldened to start realizing that they have to call, you know, a bird instead of a duck. They have to start
I
saying
agree with you, and not just a bird,
Please, that
They got to
PDF I
call,
sent you,
you know,
John.
somebody who is a coward also. Okay, after leading them on, saying, I'm going to walk to the Capitol with you, he goes back into his heavily guarded limousine and scurries back into his hole in the White House. Yeah, we got a great leader. And
Yeah,
look
I
at
think,
the, you know, look at the people, the spawn that he's been spawning. Look at what happened in Wisconsin. Okay, poor black man gets what, 7 or 9 bullets pumped into him, and now there are no charges against the policeman. So this whole thing has been so poisonous to the psyche of America that it is not just Trump is just the head of the snake. Okay, fine, you got to cut that off as you go along, and there's only got a few days left. We all agree with that. But what about the rest of the people that have been so poisoned all across this great country of ours? How do we fix that?
Well, and that comes back down to put the politics on every level, and especially the local level. It comes to electing the right people on the local level and holding them accountable. Because if you are engaged on the local level and you don't allow these kinds of things to grow and fester on the local level, they cannot make it to the federal level. And so we have to address these things in who we're electing in our local elections and hold them accountable, because the way Trump has been able to expand his base and to hold on to the base that he has is because there are folk on the local levels who are supporting him, and they feel emboldened by his rhetoric and behavior. And as a result, they feel that now if they're going to be able to run for something else, if they're going to be able to pursue their goals of public office, they need to line up with whatever he's doing and ride his coattail. And we have to cut the coat off of him so that none of them can go any further and hold everyone accountable.
You know, that brings me
I just
right
wanna-
back
I just
to
wanna add
the,
a- I just wanna add a
question.
I think,
One second, Janish. Last week, Ken had brought up a good point by asking me, you know, right out of the blue, why do I want to run against Raja Krishnamurthy for the 8th district in Illinois? And Ken, this is the guy, remember I had said that he had gone to Houston and stood on the same stage as Donald Trump, along with India's Prime Minister Modi when he was visiting. These are the people that showed up at the Capitol yesterday with that Indian flag, and we have not heard a single peep out of Mr. Krishnamurthy about what is happening and why did some people that he professes to be a part of the community, you know, why did those people show up at the Capitol? I haven't heard a single statement from Raja Krishnamurthy on that. And I don't think I'm going to be hearing any statement from him on that, because these are the people that are actually supporting him to keep him in Congress, what he's doing over there now. I'm going to be, you know, really going to bat on this and say, okay, come on, Raja, condemn them for what they did. I don't think he's going to do it. So,
Well,
Pastor
on,
Blackful, coming back to your point, electing the right people at the local level is going to be the differentiator over here. Janish, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make a.
Just let me make a quick statement. He was on WGN News last night. He did not make any condemnation statements. He just kind of gave an overview of what he saw, what happened with where he was at, and that was it. But he made absolutely no condemnation statements about the people that were invading of the Capitol building whatsoever. So
that's
yes,
what
sir.
I'm saying, John. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I mean, this guy wants to have his bread and butter and you know, and eat it and keep it both at the same time. Janish, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean,
Javid, one second.
both
Janish
of
has
you
been
are
making very patiently to
both of
make
you
make a
making
statement. Go ahead, Janish.
Yeah, both of you are making good points, right? You have to really set an example at local levels as well. But the immediate problem, the fire that needs to be put out right now, is what's happening at a national level. And yes, we can rebuild at a local level. We can hold our local elected officials accountable. We can make sure, but you need to really set an example at a national level. That is the fire in the kitchen right now. And I'd hope that people are talking about invoking the 25th and all of that stuff. I think that's a far cry. You're not going to get you're not going to get that. Let's be honest. It's tough. So I hope that those who are in elected office right now, I hope that we use legislature to try and use our energy to focus on the 20th, on the 21st, to make sure that we put in place a strategy to pass resolution to stop this individual using presidential pardons to not only pardon himself, but pardon others around him, his cronies, because if you can do that and you can stop this mouthpiece, then you can control it. You need to cut the head right now. That's the thing you need to do. Cut the head. That's where the energy needs to go. All of us at a local level need to write to our elected officials, put the pressure on so they can put the pressure on at a national level and make sure that this happens, because that sets the precedent then for what happens at a local level. Because then any elected official at a local level will know, I cannot do this. It's not okay for me to be like this. If you let it go and you sweep it under the carpet and you let this guy rant on for another 4 years, which he will, because he will then try and run for 2024, then his offspring, his demented offspring, will try and run for office in another 8 years, 12 years, whatever. You got to.
Hey, Janish, let me just say something. I got a silver lining in this pardon issue. If Trump actually pardons the people around him who he is complicit with and doing illegal stuff, by means of giving them the pardon, it destroys their Fifth Amendment protections. So they have to testify. If it happens to be that they were in collusion with each other, they're testifying against him, and he's going to be basically hoisted on his own petard, as it were.
Javed, go ahead, please.
Yeah. One thing is there are a couple of suggestions I would like to give regarding the police behavior and brutality. Actually, this is a consistent pattern of police which shows, you can say, racism or whatever you call, but there is a kind of a spirit or a lack of training or behavior or whatever you call. But we need to have reforms in the police system. And I don't agree with the Democrats that they will defund the police. No, that's not a good idea. It's better to fund the police more, give them a more training, and also add a community policing. When you have a community people in the area, and they will help the police, probably you don't have to call the police every time 911, because you have some local responsible people. Those are responsible to create a better environment. That is one suggestion. And second thing is, whatever happened in Washington, I think we have here Mr. John from Republican and Democrats. We all should start like a organization, something citizen together, something. So we should intermingle, whether which party we are from. We should have a get together after a month and have some topics and people talk about that. And, we need more interaction, more understanding.
Javed, that is what the town hall is. This is this is the space
So
where
this
all
is
of us
good. I
can
really
come
appreciate
together.
it. We need to expand it. This is a good, and you deserve, appreciation, of course. And as Washington is,
John needs a political home like some of us need a political home. Because at the end of the day, Trump has destroyed the Republican Party as we know it. But if we are honest, we don't always agree with everything that happens within the Democratic Party either. And there are times where I know I can speak for me, where I don't feel that I have a true home, because there are some conservative values and views that I have that are outside of the Democratic Party. But while at the same time, I have some liberal views and values that are far from the conservative or Republican Party. And at the end of the day, where is the home? And so we find ourselves compromising and settling in to the two-party system where we feel we best fit. But I believe that one of the greatest challenges and problems that we have right now is the two-party system. And we need to create and establish something that allows, that creates that place for a person like myself and a person like John, who it may be a Republican, but not a Trump Republican, and who I may be a Democrat, but I'm not a AOC Democrat. There's a place that we need to be able to find. And right now, I don't think that either party provides that place.
There is a very
Okay,
good point. Yeah.
Pete, before you jump in, got a message from Janish that Janish has to jump off on something else. I know that we have an extended, town hall today. Also had a message from Vasavi that she had to leave for another meeting. Janish, final thoughts before you leave. Enjoyed having you over here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Final thoughts. This is good. This is what needs to happen all around America. Everyone, different backgrounds, different creeds, colors, getting together to try and rebuild, because we need to unify. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, whether you're an immigrant, whether you're not. Together, need to put in. It's a government by the people for the people. So people need to stand up. Let's do what we can.
Yeah, spread the word.
Janice,
That's why our slogan here is it's our country, our voice. You could be anything. Like I was talking with the mayor of Plainfield this morning. We are actually arranging a full 1 week free COVID-19 testing camp for our fellow citizens, starting Monday, going through next Sunday. So the mayor was on the phone with me today, and I said, Mayor, Happy New Year, and hope 2021 is going to be better than 2020. And he says, well, it doesn't seem to be starting off that way. And we had a long chat. I mean, he's a Republican, and both of us are the same view that whatever is in the best interest of the country. We may have ideological differences, but that does not mean that you are an American and I'm not an American. So spread the word, get more people involved in this. I mean, this is a Zoom meeting. You can join it from anywhere in the world, not just in Illinois. And I know that, you are in Yonkers. And get more people involved. We need to have these discussions that might lead to more people looking at maybe an alternative down the road to the two-party system also. Who knows?
Janice, before you leave, I just
Okay.
want to give a shout out to Mohammed. He was just mentioning about doing that COVID testing. He was nice enough to set us up a couple weeks back with a gentleman that has the company that does all this. We had an event this past Sunday. Phenomenal turnout. It was really positive. Everyone really loved what we did, and like about a third of them just thanked us profusely. By the way, I got my test back yesterday. It was negative, knock on wood. But the point being is that with what he's doing, like for example, today we found out that there's been over 1 million positive tests in Illinois, and over 17,000 people have died up year to date in Illinois. So this is like a really important thing. And wherever you're at, if you want to reach out to help your community, talk to Mohammed. He can introduce you to this gentleman, and they can set up the same type of thing. And it's a really good thing to do.
Yeah,
we
I will
have,
do. I actually work in healthcare, so overseeing the COVID vaccination project for our health system that we're in. So yeah, anything you guys can help us with, especially if you can do it for free for the community. That's kind of what we need to do. So it's.
I could reach out to them because we got one camp this coming Sunday in Addison. And then the following Sunday, it's going to be in Pastor Blackful's, neck of the woods at, at the community center that he has.
Community center.
At the Bethel Community Center. And Javed, if you want to set this up in anywhere else in Chicagoland area, please talk to me, because we can do this, and there is absolutely no charge to anyone. Okay, it's totally free. It's the PCR test. Medicare and Medicaid and insurance is picking up the cost, so people don't have insurance, doesn't matter. We can still do it. And this is part of, the nonprofit that I started 4 years back, AMAN, which is American Muslims Assisting Neighbors. This is our way of giving back to the community that we live in.
Excellent.
So yeah, Janish, feel free. We can talk about this later. I can see if they have got something that they can do in your neck of the woods. I don't know if they are set up to do it in New Jersey or
They
not,
can.
but I can talk to them.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks, everyone. I've got to jump off, get some dinner.
Right.
Good night.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
So, folks, we have had a very, very productive discussion today. This is not the end of the discussion by any stretch of imagination. These things are not going to be resolved overnight. We all know that. The rot has seeped so deep into the American psyche, as Pastor Blackful needs to constantly remind us that Black Lives Matter is not an overnight, problem that just happened in the last year or so. Pastor Blackful, if you could please again guide us, take us back to our roots, and let's finish off the evening tonight again with a prayer for the betterment of all of us.
Hey, John, shoot
Once
me an
again,
email. I put it in the chat.
thank you all for attending tonight's virtual town hall. We appreciate each of you all attending and all of your comments and views. Again, we hope that you come back next week and invite others to be a part of the virtual American Town Hall as well. Let us pray. God, as we come in this hour, we come first and foremost thanking you for your grace and for your mercy. We thank you for each and every person that is on our virtual American Town Hall. And we pray, God, for those who are representing this country on every level of government. We pray for our law enforcement officers and their safety. We pray for the citizens of this country that we are able to agree to disagree and do it in a more civil manner. We recognize, God, that we are striving for a more perfect union. Show us how we can help to make our country better and to make our world better. Give us solutions to the problems that we discuss. This we ask in your name. Amen.
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 Thank you, everybody. Good night. Let's meet again next week, and hopefully things would have been, a little bit better. And again, really appreciate all of you participating. And Pastor Blackwell, thank you for your encouragement as always.
Thank you. God bless. You all have a good night.
Yep. Ken, I sent you my email.